welcome to my channel, and welcome to this little driving excursion. I am on my way to Annapolis, Maryland, from near Raleigh, North Carolina, and right now I am on Interstate 85, just crossed the Virginia state line, so I've been on the road for about an hour and a half or so. My trip is going to take about 5 hours, I think. It depends on traffic. I have to go through Richmond, Virginia area, and that can be a little heavy with traffic. And then I'll be on Interstate 95 going north toward Washington, D.C. and that crazy road. But I just wanted to talk a little bit this morning, I guess, about what the good Lord has been doing in my heart and life most recently. If you've listened to any of my other talking videos where I talk about Jesus or the Bible or whatever, you probably heard me say that I've been a believer, a Christian believer, since a very young age. I can point to the age of 16 as when I really started to understand better what the Christian faith was all about. I had been in church my whole young life, and a few times had what we call gone to the altar to ask Jesus to come into my heart and to wanting to become a Christian. But as a child, I just didn't get it, and I never felt like anything happened. I always felt the same afterwards as I did before, and I thought because I felt the same, nothing must have happened. But nonetheless, at the age of 16, while watching a program which is still on today, and I am now 68 years old, so this program has been on television for a very long time, called the 700 Club. I truly gave my heart and soul to Jesus Christ. I meant it. And that day, boy, did I feel it. I can't even explain it, but it was wonderful. And I knew that day, that He had come into my heart and was there. Whether it had happened right at that moment or had happened earlier, and I just was recognizing it, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, He's been in my heart and life now for over 50 years, I guess. And I am actually on my way to my hometown area of West Virginia, for my 50th high school class reunion. But I'm stopping in Maryland, where my husband and I have a condominium that we're getting ready to rent. And so I'm driving to Maryland. I'm going to stop there at the condominium for a day, do a few things that need to be done there, and then be on my way again to West Virginia. It's a long drive to go from Raleigh to my hometown in West Virginia. It'd be about a 10 or 11 hour drive. I've not done it. I just, at 68 and with some minor health issues, I don't really feel like I can do a 10-hour drive. So I'm breaking it up a little bit while I can. Yeah. But anyway, all of that has absolutely nothing, probably not nothing, but little to do with what I feel like God has been doing in my heart and soul recently. Yes, 50-some years of living with Him, and I still have a lot of growing to do. And He never stops allowing us to do that. And it is a privilege, honestly, to be able to grow in the Lord and in your faith as time passes, and as you go through all kinds of different experiences in this life, because whether you're a Christian believer or not, you are going to have some, let's call it, trying experiences. You're also going to have some glorious, wonderful experiences. Sometimes it can feel like the trying ones have outweighed the glorious ones. And you know what? That's okay, because I do believe, and I believe I've experienced and seen God grow me up and stretch me and help me to understand things better through the trying experiences. Definitely. Yes, through the glorious ones too. But those trying ones, there's something about them. You're kind of forced into questioning your own faith, digging in and reading that Bible to see if you can find answers. And as we do that, we grow. It's like exercising a muscle. And the more you do it, even if it hurts, the stronger that muscle gets. Right? Including our hearts. And right then I meant our physical heart. But I think it works similarly in our spiritual hearts. And at this point in time, I am extremely thankful for that. And I'm so thankful that all these years, through the weeks, days, minutes that I have doubted and questioned and wondered, what are you doing, Lord? Why aren't you helping me? Why aren't you doing something good here? Why aren't you getting me out of this, or getting my children out of this mess, or my husband, or my family? Why did you let my son die? He was 15 years old. Yep, that was a long time ago. 25, going on 26 years ago. But, you know, they say losing a child is one of the hardest, and I'm sure that's true, but there are people who have lost more than a child. They've lost everyone in their family in a split second because of an earthquake or a car accident or God only knows what. You can almost always find somebody who's suffering more than you, if that's what you want to do, if that makes you feel better about life. But I don't believe that's what we're supposed to do. I believe what we're supposed to do is our best at keeping our eyes, our heart focused on the good Lord, on Jesus Christ, on how much He does love us. And yes, He does allow difficulties. But as I said a minute ago, they force us into stretching and growing our faith in Him. And we might feel at the moment like we're losing our faith. I have felt that way. Trust me, I have. People who know me well know that. They know it. Because I came close to almost walking away just because I didn't understand. That was after my son died. And I've had other things happen since then, but that's probably been the most trying experience I've been through. Trying my faith. But I'll tell you this. About 7 or 8 months ago, I can't believe how long it's been, really. My husband and I moved from Maryland to North Carolina. There have been things about it that have been awesome. I actually really, really like where we're living. Truly. Not the home we're living in necessarily, although it's okay. We're living in an apartment at the moment. But the area, to me, it's just awesome. It's city enough, urban enough, where we are, that you can just go right around the corner or a mile down the road one way or the other to find just about anything you need. My doctors, where I shop, everything. Now the hospitals are a little farther away, but if you have to have testing done, there are radiology, MRI, those imaging outpatient places everywhere you look. So it's all easy and close. And can you tell what my life has been since we moved down there? I've had some issues, health issues, so I've had to find these people in these places, and it hasn't been too difficult, not at all. It's a beautiful area with lots and lots of trees, and beautiful homes with beautiful landscaping, and just, you take a little ride down the road and pretty soon you're going to see something pretty. And that's just the way it is. So right now there are crepe myrtle trees which bloom pink and lilac colors and white, and they bloom a lot. They bloom all summer long, and they're so pretty. Now, my car sits under one when I park in the parking lot, and it lets its little petals fall all over my car, which does drive me crazy. But I'll put up with that to be able to see the pretty trees. It's fine. And our apartment complex, there's a whole row of them right in front of the building. It's really very pretty. But anyway, back to Jesus. When we moved down there, it was kind of sudden. It all happened rather quickly because my husband had lost his job in Maryland, and he was offered one in the Raleigh area. And at first we weren't quite sure if that's what we wanted to do, but we quickly decided yes, it was. He does have family in North Carolina, so we chose to go ahead and move, and we did. And I struggled until fairly recently to be able to feel like I was anywhere I belonged. I felt so out of place. I can't even describe it. I think it was just from the move and the unfamiliar territory and not having anyone there that I really knew well. The other thing, I felt like distant from the Lord that whole time. It totally threw me, and I didn't expect that. I did not expect that at all. I have been able, most of my adult life, I've moved, that kind of move from West Virginia to Maryland in 2012, and that was difficult too, but I was by myself then. This time I was married, and so I moved with my husband, and I just didn't expect to feel so lost, but I did. So anyway, I kept praying through it and asking God to help me. I tried to find a church, which I did, but I didn't feel, if you've ever changed churches, it takes a while to start feeling like that church is home, like you belong there, like you're really part of it, because you go into a church that's already established, and there are people there who they already have their Sunday school teachers and their Bible study leaders and their music people and all of that, and they don't always need you, and I was from a small town area in West Virginia, and just about any church you went to, they were like, oh, yay, another person. and they needed you. They had things they would start asking you to participate in or help with or whatever. And when you go to a bigger church in an urban area, it's not quite like that. Yeah, they're pretty well established, and you don't feel very needed. So I struggled the whole time I was in Maryland to really feel like I found a home church. I ended up in one that was big, but even there, I went sometimes, but not always, and it didn't bother me not to go because nobody even noticed whether I was there or not. And I am a person who needs people, and I need them to need me too. I know that, some people call that, what do they call it? There's a word for it. Codependent? I think that's it. Codependency? Maybe I am guilty of that, and maybe it's extremely unhealthy. I don't know. But I do enjoy feeling like somebody needs me to do something that I'm capable of doing, and then doing it. I like to do it. So, whatever that is, lead a Bible study. Go to a Bible study. Just show up. Participate, whatever. And so I found a church. It took me months in North Carolina, and I have gone a few times. I've watched online consistently, but not until recently did I start feeling like I really should keep going to that church. I wasn't sure until recently. But anyway, it all related to that sense of not belonging anywhere that I have been feeling since we moved to North Carolina. The other thing that's been going on in my life that has had me questioning again, and I'm sorry to say, it even had me to the point of almost, not quite, but almost, questioning God's goodness, His real influence on our daily lives and what matters to us. Because I hadn't seen Him moving in a certain situation. And that is, I have an adult child who is probably a true alcoholic. He won't admit it. And he's not a slushy drunk. And he doesn't go to work drunk, or, he's a functioning alcoholic right now. So I have been praying for him and not seeing any result, and feeling, oh my goodness, so down and worried and anxious about him. And then recently, and this isn't the first time, this is probably about the 5th or 6th time, but he lost his job. So I kind of freaked out too. Not like having a fit or getting angry with him or anything like that. I played that very cool, but in my gut I was sick. I was just so sick that the same thing had happened again. And it's about every year and a half that he loses a job. In my spiritual heart, I was praying, why, Lord, why won't you help him get out of this? Why? I know he has to be interested and willing, and he's not. I know that, but get him there. Help him to get there. Help him to get to the point where he recognizes that he needs you and that you are real. I don't know how to do that. I've talked to my son about God and how much God loves him, and what I believe Jesus did for us, and all of that, and he is just nowhere near. Well, maybe he's getting closer. One day, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, after my son had told me about his job and I'd been fretting and all of this, that morning I woke up and I just sensed relief, massive relief from the stress. And I had to go somewhere in my car. As I was driving down the road, sensing this freedom from the burden of worry, I started talking to the Lord because I knew it was Him. I knew He had done that for me. And I heard Him say in my heart, not an audible voice, but there's that still small voice of the Holy Spirit that we believers do experience if we will be quiet enough to listen sometimes. And sometimes He has to do something to get our attention. And I believe that's what He did that day. Anyway, I heard Him say to me, your children are going to be fine. And yes, He said children, not just Jonathan. My daughter Carrie too. And I'll leave that for another day. But He said to me, remember, I promised. And He did. Years ago, before my oldest son had passed away, he was probably about 12 at the time, and he died when he was 15. So that's how long it's been. My husband at the time, he and I were separated. And I was feeling so overwhelmed as a single mom, living with my 3 children in a trailer, trying to stay strong and be as wise as I could, which I never was extremely wise, but nonetheless, and trying to trust my God with everything. Well, that night, I was feeling it, and I went to bed, and I was praying, and I said, Lord, I need a husband, a Christian husband. still married. We were just separated at the time. And we did get back together after this for a while. But anyway, I said I need a believing husband. I need someone who thinks like I do and will come along and pray to you and with you, me with you, to you, and a partner in this life who trusts God and looks to God for guidance and help and wants to be happy in the Lord. And I said, if it's this husband, wonderful. Help him to come to you and know you. That's what I prayed for, a Christian believing husband, be it the one I had who, has a bit of a change of heart. So I prayed for a Christian husband. And then I opened my Bible. I was just going to read a little bit of my Bible, and I didn't have a specific place in the Bible that I wanted to read, and neither did I go, oh, here, let's read this. I'm going to open my Bible, and whatever it says, that's what I'm going to do. Some miracle thing was going to happen. I wasn't expecting that. I was just opening my Bible to read it. And I ended up reading in Isaiah chapter 54. And I can't quote it. It's God talking to Israel. It's where he's saying to them, you are like a woman without a husband. And then he goes on to say, but I will be your husband, and I will enlarge your lands, and he's promising Israel, who is like a widow, that he will be her husband and take care of her. I'm not lying. That's exactly what it says, and that's where I ended up reading, like right off the bat. So I knew that prayer, God knew I was going to pray it, and he knew I was going to open that Bible to those verses. And he let me. He let my eyes, my hands, fall into the book of Isaiah, chapter 54. And I continued to read the chapter. And, the rest of it is pertinent, but not exactly as specific as those verses were, until I got on a little farther. And I read a verse that says something like this. It says, your children will live lives of peace and will be knowledgeable and about the Lord. But when I read that night 25 plus years ago, I knew he was talking to me again. And this time, not about me and him being my husband. This time, about my children. And they were going to have peaceful, full lives in the Lord, which is what I wanted for them so badly. Now, you might say, how did he fulfill that promise when you've already had a child that died? And I have one, my daughter, who was a believer, still says she is, but doesn't follow it very much at all, doesn't pick up her Bible anymore, doesn't ever go to church, and she used to be very involved. She's very liberal now. So I've got one son that I believe is in heaven, one daughter who is struggling in life a little bit, I'll say that, not an alcoholic or anything like that, but just struggling, and an alcoholic son. So you might wonder, you might not be surprised that my faith would be a little shaken about them. But God, 2 weeks ago, when I woke up feeling relief, he reminded me, he not only said to me that my children are going to be okay, and they're going to be fine, and I believed it, I felt it, I knew he was talking to me. He also reminded me of that night that I prayed. And let me tell you, he answered that prayer. He answered that prayer. for so many years, I didn't have that kind of a husband. That was probably the late 1990s, like 1995, 6, right in that time frame. That's when that happened. And until I married my current husband, which was 2015. How many years later? 20 years later? Yeah. I didn't have a human believing Christian husband. And I'm not going to go into what all happened with my last husband before we divorced. Today, that might be another story, but but anyway, God took care of me. I always had a job that allowed me to take care of my family. Were we wealthy? Heavens no. But I wasn't one of these really poor, struggling mothers who had to work 3 jobs. I was a registered nurse. I made enough that we could survive in our not so nice, but suitable little house. And we could go places and eat at restaurants occasionally and get fast food, and the kids got to do what they wanted to do with school trips and all of that. We did all right. God took care of us. And when my son died, of course, that was a big hit in our lives, everybody's, and to my faith, for a couple of years. But there's a verse in the New Testament that says we are struck down but not destroyed. That's what it says. As believers, we are struck down but not destroyed. And I'm going to say amen to that, because when he died, I felt like I had been struck down, and I wasn't sure I was going to survive it with my faith. There were moments when the pain was very severe in my heart, and I can remember driving across a bridge, and at the end of that bridge there was a straight up hill, just straight up with rock, stone. And I thought to myself, all I have to do is step on this gas and go really fast, and I would never know what hit me. I could smash right into that hillside, and that'd be it. But my 2 little kids were in the back seat, and I thought, nope, can't do that. Not today, Mama. So, yeah. Anyway, God got me through that. And it took me a couple of years to get really back to Him. And it took a while longer to get back to Him to the point that I could really trust Him with everything. And I still have, and I go through times and phases where I doubt and question and wonder. But I know, even when I'm in the midst of those times, I know in my heart that it ain't over. This faith walk ain't over. No way. And it's not going to be over until I'm in heaven. And that's how God works. Not me. It's Him. And He's awesome. As of now, I have spoken with my son. He has dumped his alcohol down the drain. He also smokes pot. He told me he flushed it down the commode, and he is drug and alcohol free at the moment. He also got a job. He actually had 2 job offers. He works in factories. He's a machine operator. That's his experience. And the second job offered, about $3.50 more per hour than the first, so he's going to take it. But we will see how the drugs and alcohol go, because he's not committed to giving it up yet. I said yet because I trust God, and God told me Jonathan is going to live a life of peace and he's going to be knowledgeable in the Lord. And I believe it. Will I see it in my lifetime? Not sure. I'm not sure. I may not live long enough to see that happen in this life, but I still believe it. I do. All right. God bless you. Take a look at Isaiah chapter 54. It's pretty interesting. Isaiah chapter 53. If you have any questions about the prophecies in the Old Testament that pointed to Jesus Christ as being our Savior, read Isaiah chapter 53. It will kind of amaze you if you've never done that before. You may already be familiar with it. Good for you. I love that chapter. And because it is so telling of what's going to happen to Jesus Christ when he's living a human life and dies on the cross. And that's where it says he was wounded for our transgressions, and says something else, and it says by his stripes we are healed. That's in Isaiah. So chapter 53, take a look. Chapter 54, God promised to be my husband, maybe yours too if you need one. Yeah, take a look at them. They're awesome. All right, God bless you. He loves you very much, and I do too. Have a great day.
Jesus loves me. This I